Hello, I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
Welcome to the podcast. It's game night, it's sibling rivalry, it's a walk down memory lane, but most importantly, it's politics free.
Guaranteed.
Welcome to round one of Pando. Here's how it works. We have a set of cards. Always with the cards. On each one is written 3 personal questions. For example, one card asks, what is my favorite clothing brand? Do I usually wake up in a good mood? And is my phone screen cracked? First, I'll ask Ryan 3 questions pertaining to me, and he'll have to answer each one correctly to earn a point. Then we'll switch, and Ryan will ask me 3 questions pertaining to him. Again, I'll have to answer each one correctly to earn a single point. Whoever scores the most points wins the ever-coveted Gloating Rights Trophy until
we play again.
Exactly. For the record, I do not have a favorite clothing brand. I do usually wake up in a good mood. And my phone screen is not cracked.
Well, I would have gotten one of those correct.
Was it the waking up in a good mood one?
It was.
Ryan, okay, just for fun, this one doesn't count. If you have a favorite clothing brand, I want to say Dickies.
Okay.
I think you usually wake up in a not good mood, and I'm willing to bet your phone screen is cracked.
I don't have a favorite clothing brand. In fact, I just buy what's cheap. So it varies. I used to sport Dickies, so you were not entirely wrong on that.
Fair enough.
Phone screen is not cracked, and I wake up in an all right mood. Like, I don't wake up in a bad mood. I'm usually whistling by the time I get to work.
Well, fair enough. Good thing that didn't count. By the way, this game is called Pando. That's Pando. It was created by Pando and is available at playpando.com. Link in the show notes. They are not a sponsor. Ryan, are you ready for your first 3 questions?
I am ready for my first 3 questions.
Here is your first question. Do I think the government listens to me through my phone?
Yes.
I don't know. It's yes. You're right. I really do. I don't. Like, logically, in my mind, that is too big of a task for a government to do.
Uh-huh. Even
a huge government like the U.S. government, they can't be listening on everyone's phone all the time.
Sure.
Do I think Google is listening to me every second? Yes, I do. Definitely that.
So to be clear, I got that right?
You did get that right.
Okay.
So you've got 1 out of 3 so far. I'm stranded on an island without food or supplies. Do I survive?
Yes, because you got the book, Heather. You know what's up.
I don't think I survive, Ryan. I know I've got the book. I think I die within 3 days.
So you're telling me that
on this island.
Have you not been studying that book?
I have not been studying the book. The book is there in case the apocalypse happens, and then I have to go refer to it for things.
Let me ask you this. Do you bring that book with you when you travel?
I do not.
Have you traveled since you bought that book?
No.
Okay, so if you brought the book with you, the next time you travel, I think you will survive. And I'm going to say I got this one right, because Heather, you don't know that you wouldn't survive.
Brian,
You don't
I have 0 survival skills, actual
Heather,
usable skills.
There are people who have broken both their legs in the middle of a desert and survived 7 days. With little to nothing, I think that you could do it.
Okay, it does not say how long. So what if I'm there for a year? If I'm there for a year, I'm dead within the first week. And then I'm just a rotting corpse for the rest of the year.
If they're stuck there for a whole year, everyone's dying. I don't care how good you are at surviving. With nothing, you did.
I honestly don't think I survived this scenario. Also, what if it's like an island up in the Arctic? Then I'm definitely dead. Everyone thinks they're going to get stranded on a tropical island with tons of fish and fruit. No, you're going to get stranded in a northern or very, very southern area where it's brutally cold. Robinson Crusoe, the movie made it seem like he was on a tropical island. In real life, that guy was not in a tropical region on the island that he got stuck on.
Oh, really? I guess that because you doubt that you will survive, I guess I'm wrong. So I don't get a point.
All right, so just for fun then, have I ever called the police?
Yes.
Correct.
Who did you call the police on, Heather?
Well, I did not call the police on anyone.
Oh,
The first time that I called the police, which I consider 911 the police, I guess,
Sure.
was because there was this whole family of people in the middle of a busy highway, and they had obviously been hit like several times, and their car was flipped around facing the wrong direction. It was parked right in the middle of lanes, and people were just zooming all around it, and they looked terrified. So I called 911. I was like, so we just passed the like such and such point on such and such highway heading whatever direction we were going. And there's this family stuck in their car. Their car looks like it's been totaled, and they look terrified, and they're just sitting in there. So they were like, okay, we'll send someone.
Nice.
The second time I called the police was because people fell through ice at the lake, and I had to call 911.
Oh, yeah.
And they brought that hover boat, and they hovered out there, and the helicopters, the whole thing.
Nice.
And the third time was when I lost my child at the trampoline park. Because she wandered away from the trampoline park when I had my back turned. And I spent about 5 minutes looking for her, and I was like, nope, screw it. I'm not even going to mess around with this. I'm called police right now. I was freaking out. I'm making it sound like I handled this calmly. I was crying. I was panicking. I was screaming at the 911 operator. He was telling me to calm down. I was like, don't fucking tell me to calm down. He was like, okie dokie then. They should not be telling people to calm down when people are spazzing out.
I absolutely
It
agree.
should not.
Because it does not calm anybody down. Does it actually? Is there anybody that listens to us so that's a 911 operator? Does that actually work? Does that calm people down? Because when people tell me to calm down, I do not calm down. I freak out more.
I get pissed off. Yes, I get pissed off. I'm just like, anyways, what had happened was she had just waltzed right into a U-Haul facility that was in that same kind of block.
Looking to get out of town,
She was just hanging out in there. Yeah, and everyone in there was like, well, okay. So they had called the police because this kid just wandered in, which Charlie has autism, so she can't like respond like normal. So people can ask her a question. She's just going to stare at them and like maybe be singing a song or repeating some mantra that's her newest thing she likes to say and like not responding to the question. So as I was on the phone with the 911 operator, he's like, oh, somebody called in a child by that description at the U-Haul facility. I was like, I'm going. And I was running, and it was kind of a big facility. So I ran in, and they had all these like storage units. I was running around the storage units going crazy. And this guy suddenly appears. He's like, can I help you? I was like, I'm looking for my daughter. This is what she looks like. He's like, oh, yeah, she's in the reception. So he took me over to the reception, and she was there, and it was fine. Then after I found her, I was like, oh, my God, she's here. She's here. I'm sorry that I screamed and cried and yelled at you. And the guy was like, it's fine. Hopefully those will be the only times I have to be calling the police for anything.
Those are all good reasons to call the police, Heather.
So you have 0 points.
I have.
I'm being honest. I don't think I could survive being deserted on the island on my own, bro. That's just me being honest. Okay.
Okay, you ready for your questions?
Yeah.
Okay, where do I usually get gas?
Well, Ryan, I would say that you usually get gas
station.
At the gas station.
No, that doesn't count.
All right. You at the ExxonMobil.
Incorrect.
What? Shell.
Nope.
At the Chevron station.
No. Nope.
At the...
No.
I don't know any other gas stations.
Arco.
There's ExxonMobil. There's Argo?
Arco.
Arco. Oh, we don't really have Arco around here. Yeah, fine. All right, well, why don't you tell me about the time you were handcuffed? Have we already done that on this podcast?
I believe so.
The next question, sorry, ask the next question. I jumped the gun.
Heather, have I ever been handcuffed?
Why, yes, Ryan, you have.
Twice, in fact.
Oh, twice. I didn't know that. I thought it was just the once.
Yeah, there was one time at my 20th birthday party for being intoxicated. And then the other time was when I was in LA and I had gotten a job selling art, basically on the side of the road. And they would load up a U-Haul full of art and they would send me to a location and I would set up and try to sell art. So I got sent out to Palm Springs from LA on a full tank of gas, and I got to Palm Springs with a quarter of a tank left. And I thought to myself, well, I don't have any money. I can't afford to pay for gas. Maybe I'll make it back to LA on a quarter tank.
Okay.
So I ended up getting stranded, and cop pulls over and asks me what's going on. I told him I ran out of gas, and he was like, well, I need you to move your U-Haul off of the road a little further if you could. And I was like, it's out of gas. And he goes, well, just try it out. Maybe there's some fumes in there and you can get it off to the side a little further. I said, okay. So it started right up and I moved it over to the side and I was like, cool, well, all right. I guess I didn't quite run out of gas. And he chuckles and he leaves, right? So I'm like, well, screw it. It started up. Maybe I'll just see if I can't get myself to a gas station down the road. So I started the vehicle up and I started to drive and I got about 10 feet and then it ran out of gas again. So I pulled off the side of the road and I didn't quite get off the road completely. And the cop comes back around about 20 minutes later. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I figured because it started up back there that maybe I could at least get to a gas station. And he was like, is it out of gas now? And I was like, yeah, completely out of gas. So he's like, put it in neutral. He pushes me off the side of the road. And then I was like, could I get a ride to a gas station? And so he's like, sure. And so he's like, but I got to detain you and pat you down before I put you in the car. So I was like, okay, cool. So he handcuffed me, patted me down, and then unhandcuffed me. And then I was able to get into the cruiser. And then he drove me to a gas station.
That must be some policy thing that he's following. Or he was just super fucking with you because he was annoyed at you and your big truck blocking the highway.
Probably. Have I ever dumped somebody with a text?
I'm going to say no. I don't think that you've done that.
That would be correct.
Excellent, because we're old school. We're from a time when you had to actually talk to people. All right.
I have never broken up with anybody, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, you've just been dumped a bunch?
I've been dumped. All times. Every single time.
Aw, okay. I feel bad for making fun of that. Let's move on.
It's okay, Heather.
Ryan?
Uh-huh.
Do I whiten my teeth?
No.
Incorrect. I do whiten my teeth. I do. On occasion, like once or twice a year. I do.
All right, well, no point going on with this one, Heather, now that I don't get a point. Anyway, what's the next one?
Do I prefer mayonnaise or Miracle Whip?
Mayonnaise.
Incorrect.
Are you kidding me? I
really like Miracle Whip.
What is wrong with you?
I will always take Miracle Whip over mayo. Don't make pukey noises on the podcast. That's not what people tune in for. You might be grossing people out.
You're grossing people out with Miracle Whip.
Hey, there's a reason they are still in business, and that is because it is delicious. Especially with chicken. Chicken okay. Miracle Whip sandwich.
All right. Let's move it on.
Do I shopping at thrift stores? Typo. I had a typo there.
Do you shopping at thrift stores? I'm going to say yes.
Do I shop at thrift stores? That is correct. I do shop at thrift stores.
All right. I got one right.
You did. So far, we're 0 for 0 in this, but let's see if I can get these 3 questions from Ryan.
When I have to visit the can in public, do I sit, hover, or cover?
cover and then sit.
Yeah, I try to avoid going number 2 in public, but I have a process for, let's say, outhouses, and I like to pull a bunch of toilet paper out of the toilet paper roll, and then I'll throw it onto the blue, and I make a nice little toilet paper nest on top of everybody else's business. And then I'll roll out some more, and then I'll squirt some hand sanitizer on it, and then I will wipe down the seat, and I'll lift it up, and I'll wipe down the other part, and then I'll sit it down, and then I'll sit on it.
So do you consider that I got this one right? Because I said cover and sit.
Well, I don't cover the seat, but I do sit on it. But that's after I've sanitized it.
Which is basically like covering it.
Sure.
Great.
I'll give it
I got
to you,
it right.
Heather.
Let's move on. Thank you. Next question.
Okay, Heather.
Uh-huh.
Do I debate with strangers on social media?
I think you do. I think you can't help yourself.
Yes, I do. I can't. All right, let's get this over with. Heather, have I ever run a marathon?
No, you have not. Maybe a 5-miler, but not a full 26-mile marathon. Have you?
Okay, so I was going to say, does the 5-miler count? Because it's still part of the Nike Town Marathon.
But it's not technically a marathon if it's only 5 miles. I got to be 26 miles.
I have not run a marathon.
I just got a point.
Heather,
I got 1 point, and Ryan got 0 points. 1 for Heather, 0 for Ryan. I take home the gloating
game is
rights.
fixed, I tell ya. Honestly, Heather, I still feel like I should have gotten a point on Would You Survive if you got stranded, but that's up for your opinion because there's no way to actually gauge if you would or not because you've never been in a similar situation.
So here's the deal. If I ever get stranded on a desert island and survive, the first thing I will do is call you and be like, you should have gotten the points. But we won't know until it happens.
Have you going to Hawaii anytime soon?
No, why? If I get stranded at Hawaii, it's going to be pretty easy to survive.
Do you want to go to Hawaii? I'll pay for plane ticket.
Are you going to fix the plane so it crashes in the middle of the ocean and I get stranded on a desert island?
I'm not saying that I would do anything like that. I would not admit to anything like that on this podcast. Whoa! Whoa, Heather, whoa! But yes, that's what I do. I really wouldn't.
First of all, if you want to pay for a ticket for me to Hawaii, please feel free. I'll take it. I've always wanted to visit there. Second of all, it's time for research inspired by this week's game. You know what I thought would be fun to do? Bathroom etiquette.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, is it survival again, Heather?
Public bathroom etiquette. What's up?
I just want to say, for the record, gentlemen, when you use the bathroom, I know many of you like to stand up and pee. If you lift the lid, you lift the seat, and you pee, and you get urine, even on the rim, just reach over, grab some toilet paper, give it a quick wipe down. Throw it in there, flush the toilet, and you're not peeing on seats, because it's nasty, and you're nasty when you do it.
Public restroom etiquette. According to portlandloo.com, don't leave pee on the floor or toilet. So you talked about that. You said wipe it off the toilet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the pee on the floor thing's more an issue in men's rooms than in the ladies' room.
Indeed.
Next point is flush the toilet. Novel.
Yeah.
Some people don't. I don't know why. Just flush the toilet.
And if you're afraid of touching the handle, just use your foot like everybody else.
Yeah, and I mean, in America these days, so many automatic flushing toilets, you don't really have to worry about touching anything. It just flushes all over you while you're still trying to go to the bathroom. It's amazing.
Hell yeah.
Don't talk on the phone. Yeah, nobody else wants to hear your conversation.
Let me ask you this. What difference would it make if two people were having a conversation in the bathroom through the stall door?
Well, that's against toilet etiquette.
Is it, though? You've never carried on a conversation with someone in the bathroom?
You know what? It doesn't actually say that in portlandblue.com, so I will retract that statement. But it doesn't bother me if two people are having conversation in the bathroom. But if it's on the phone, apparently, okay, well, you know what? Let's see why they say that. Have you ever been on an important call and realized that you needed to use the bathroom? Yeah, we all have. But that doesn't mean you should take it into the public bathroom. In fact, the more important the call, the worse this scenario becomes. Okay, so it's not for consideration.
It's not about using it in the bathroom. It's about being in the bathroom on the phone for the party on the other side.
Yes. And by the way, for the record, if I were on an important call, I would never go to the bathroom in the middle of that call. Even if I was at home, I would not. In fact, I have to be extremely comfortable with somebody on the other end of the line to go to the bathroom, Ryan, as you know, in the middle of a call. All right, here's a really good one. Do the mid-sit flush. So if you're going duty and it's going to be a little longer, flush what's already in there. Don't just let it sit and stink up the whole bathroom.
That's called a courtesy flush, and I worked with a guy that said, give it hang time, baby, give it hang time.
I once had an Italian woman scream at me desperately, push the water, push the water, push the water. I was like, oh, that must be a literal translation. That must be what they say in Italian. Like we say flush the toilet. They say push the water. I mean, I got what she was saying.
I'm not touching the water. That's nasty, weirdo.
Oh, it's also called a courtesy flush. You were right.
Yes.
Don't bring in confidential conversations. The public restroom is not private. That's why it's called public.
Makes sense.
So don't bring your bestie or your employee in the bathroom and hash it all out in front of random strangers. Listen, in the internet age, it's like people feel like they have to do this. Mm-hmm. I've had people have like arguments or say things in front of me and I don't know them. And I almost feel like they're trying to make me an audience. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care about you and your life.
That's when you pull out the popcorn. And you sit on the counter and you just sit there.
I might do that next time this happens to me.
Bring a Ziploc bag of popcorn with you in your purse.
Emergency so the next popcorn.
The next break open in case there's an argument in public.
That is such a great idea. Or if I'm at the grocery store, I will just run to the aisle and get like pre-popped popcorn bag and just bust it open. Just sit right there.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Wash your hands. Please do that. That's a bare minimum of using a public restroom or any restroom ever.
If anything, at least that.
Okay, they're also saying don't knock on a locked door. Look for feet. Look under for feet. And don't choose a stall right next to someone else if there's other stalls available. That's just naturally something I wouldn't do. Like, that's like just an understood. You walk in and you go as far away as you can from someone.
So just out of curiosity, why is that? Is that because in America, the stalls are fairly high?
I
so
think
to give
so.
that person some kind of privacy? Because, like, if the stalls were super low to the ground where you have, like, maybe like an inch, because they are like that sometimes, like, would it be okay to use the stall next to somebody?
Maybe that would change it. I think there's such a lack of actual privacy in American bathrooms. Like, the other thing is, I'll add this rule. If you come in and there's a line, don't look in the direction of the stalls. Because there's so many gaps, you can just easily look over and actually see somebody doing their business.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you're in the stall, you're right. It's high off the ground. It's not really private, so you kind of leave a distance if you can.
So twice now this has happened to me where I've been in a bathroom doing my business and a child comes in and shakes the door and it's locked, and then all of a sudden I'm locking eyes with them through the crack in the...
They need to be taught their proper toilet etiquette right there. Good Lord. Yes. Suddenly eyes are peering at you. I'm almost done.
Like,
Could
yes,
you wait a minute?
it is in use.
You figured it out. Yeah, no, look for the feet. That's what you do to avoid that. In keeping with this theme, I decided that we'd get stories inspired by public restrooms from Reddit. Actually, these are answers to the question, what do you hate most about public restrooms? By the way, send us your stories and things that you get reminded of by listening to these podcast episodes. We want to hear them. We want to share them. Email me at thepoliticsfreepodcast@outlook.com or message me on Instagram at thepoliticsfreepodcast. We love them. Send them. Okay, here we go. What do you hate most about public restrooms? From A.K. Hanny. When they're so deathly quiet that I can actually hear the poop sliding out of someone else's anus. I've never thought of that before, and now, bleh. Oh, here's a response to that. Currently sitting on a toilet at work, reading this on my phone and chuckling softly. The guy right next to me must be terrified. Okay, I love this response. This is so true. There is a social phenomenon in ladies' washrooms that I like to call the poop standoff. Girls refuse to poop when there are others present. True. So if a girl is pooping and someone comes in, she'll sit completely still without making a noise and wait until the other person finishes and leaves. However, if the next girl who comes in also needs to poop, she'll sit down and quietly wait for the other person to leave, resulting in a poop standoff. There are some tactics girls use, such as holding the lever of the toilet down so the swishing noise drowns out any potential poop noises, but usually the ladies like to wait it out. Explains the long lineups for women's washrooms.
And not for men's. That
there
makes
you go.
sense.
Because you guys don't care, you just let it rip? Is that how it goes in the men's room? Or
it gets loud as fucking men's rooms.
Really?
You'll hear...
I just read that and I was laughing so hard. I was like, this is so true. Like, you go in there and you need to poo and it's like, someone walked in. God damn it. You will stop mid-pooing if somebody walks in and like be like, okay, just be fast.
When I was a kid, so like, I don't know if this is true for you, but anytime I go poo, I pee as well. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had this thing about peeing while sitting down. And I was worried that I would get judged by other boys if they heard me peeing and saw that I was sitting down, even though I was also pooping. So I would actually take like toilet paper and I would make like a little ramp and I would pee into it so that I could silently pee and not alert anybody that I was sitting down and peeing.
That is ridiculous and hilarious. Okay. Here's one from JReed26. I have to tell this story about my mate who just went to Cuba to study the athletics system. Side note, the poor bastard is allergic to eggs, poultry, and has a gluten sensitivity. So he's at a baseball game off the resort and starts getting the gurgles, likely from something that he ate at breakfast that morning. As his old roommate, I know that he's only got about 2 minutes between gurgles and having a liquid pants explosion. So he bolts to the bathroom. He walks into a long metal trough in the room, newspaper on the floor, and a mushy puddle of human excrement in front of him, and is faced with a life-altering decision. Choice 1, shit in trough, lose most of his dignity. Choice 2, shit pants, lose all dignity. He opts for choice 1, drops his drawers, and lets go. Right in the middle of this biblical shit, 3 Cuban girls walk in. Turns out he was so concerned about making it there in time that he went into the wrong bathroom.
Oh, no.
The worst part of the story is that his atomic ass drop wasn't enough to make the girls leave. One girl peed down the trough from him while the other 2 were checking themselves out in the mirror. Too long, didn't read. Your public restroom horror stories aren't all that bad. And I just love this one comment in answer to the question, what do you hate about public restrooms? The asshole who won't reciprocate my foot tapping. Ah, good. All right. So I think we know how to behave now in public restrooms.
Excellent.
Let's end off with our question of the week. If it's raining outside, what activity do you most want to do?
I mean, when I was a kid, it was just play outside. These days, I stay inside when it's raining.
Let me give you an answer to this question that might give you a little more understanding, because I think it's coming from a different place. If it's raining outside, the activity I most want to do is I want to be sitting inside with a coffee and a book, reading a book, drinking my coffee.
Okay.
Do you have, because it makes me feel cozy during the rain. Do you have like something that you want to do that's like cozy?
There's nothing in particular that I do when it's raining, because it rains a lot here. So I'm just doing whatever I'm doing inside, which is usually watching Netflix.
Hey.
Or watching a show. Or I might be studying, depending if I have homework. Or I might be dinking around in the garage.
So in other words, there's no like specific thing that you get an aching for if it starts to rain. You don't feel like...
Correct.
Okay. That's fine. That didn't occur to me.
I know it is.
If it's crappy out, I just love to be inside reading a book. If I have a hot beverage with me, it's even better.
Nice. What if it's in the middle of summer?
Still want a hot beverage and a book.
Oh, weird. Okay.
But I'll still have the AC on if it's hot. I started feeling the temperature dipped this spring down into like the 50s. And we'd been having like a series of like 70, 75 degree days.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I was like, I feel like Christmas today. It's only like 50, but it felt so cold. And like we had our sweaters back on and I had my little hot coffee. I think it didn't help that I was using a Christmas themed mug to drink the coffee out of. But I was feeling very jolly in that moment. It was like June.
Very nice. Hey, you know what? Sometimes the jollies just hit you whenever.
That's true. You know what? It's Christmas all year in my heart.
Barf.
All right. Well, that's all we got, folks. Thanks for listening. Do us a favor. Share the podcast with a friend. Let people know about it. We'd really, really appreciate it. Until we play again.
Until we play again.